Greetings and welcome, whoever you are, wherever you happen to be all around this gorgeous planet. Thanks for being with us. And now to a new episode of News and Views from the Nefarium with Joseph Farrell.
Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with News and Views from the Nefarium on Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Before we get to this story today, which really just has me shaking my head in disbelief, remember we do not have a vid chat tomorrow. Our next vid chat will be a week from tomorrow. That will be the old format vid chat where you actually email your questions and comments directly to me. And I believe that will be the afternoon vid chat. So a week from tomorrow for the vid chats. All right. Now, you've probably all heard the story about the biolab being shut down in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the speculation right now, at least as far as I've heard up to now, is that this may be another one of those Chinese rent a biolab operations like we saw in California a couple of years ago. This one in Vegas. And it's clear that, you know, the communists are up to their usual tricks, spreading murder and mayhem wherever they go. But this one concerns me because Las Vegas, as everybody knows, is a worldwide tourist hub. So if you're going to spread murder and mayhem through a bioweapons lab, the place to do it would be a place like Las Vegas. You simply spread some germs or diseases, and people coming and playing in the motels and casinos and so on, and getting on the airplanes in the airport and flying back to wherever in the world they're coming from, is a convenient way to spread a nasty pathogen far and wide. With that in mind, with that context in mind, I want you to listen to this story. And again, a lot of you sent me this story, and that's the reason I'm not mentioning the initials of any individuals. I normally do that when people send me blogs just as a way of recognizing their contribution and thanking them. But this one came from a lot of you. I want to read the headline, the title of this article. The article is by a physician in New Zealand, Guy Hatchard, and he is also connected with genetic research. And I want to read a few paragraphs from this article. I'm not going to comment very much about this because it's self-explanatory. But I want you to remember the Chinese biolab in the back of your mind, because this is as sinister, if not much more sinister, and it gives us another window on just how despicable the people running the Western world really are. And again, I'm not talking about the Communist Chinese Party. This is something much worse. The title of the article is Scientists Want to Use Self-Amplifying Mitochondrial RNA to Vaccinate Those Who Do Not Want to Be Vaccinated. And this article appeared January 20th, so not too long ago. And I want to read a few paragraphs right from the beginning of this article. So here we go. Listen carefully. Quote, newly published research papers demonstrate that gain-of-function research designed to investigate the effects of deadly pathogens is still continuing. In the course of research, live mice are being exposed to deadly doses of laboratory-built recombinant synthetic H5N1 viruses with codon optimization, which boosts expression in human cells and cleavage site enhancement linked to viral virulence. Lethal doses of synthetic viral material containing artificial DNA sequences are being forced into animals using lipid nanoparticles and electrical pulses. The aim of the research is to develop replicon mitochondrial RNA vaccines and treatment strategies, but alarmingly, the work is being partially funded by the U.S. defense establishment, and there are ties to multinational pharmaceutical companies. Oh, surprise, surprise. Where did we see that relationship before? Could it be the COVID plan scamdemic? And the science and quackcines that are causing worldwide fallout in side effects and bad side effects numbering to the hundreds of thousands, if not much more. Continuing. A paper was published on the 13th of January 2026 in Nature Communications is entitled, listen to this title, quote, intranasal replicon vaccine establishes mucosal immunity and protects against H5N1 and H7N9 influenza. It reports the development of a self-replicating mitochondrial RNA vaccine targeted at H5N1 and H7N9 viruses, so-called avian or bird flu viruses. The vaccine is administered with an intranasal spray. Let me stop right there. If it's administered in an intranasal spray, how many of us trust the companies producing those nasal sprays to disclose the fact that they might have put those quackcines into their sprays already? Do you trust them? I know I don't. Not after what we saw result from the quackcines that we were assured were perfectly safe and effective during the COVID plan scamdemic. And not one of them, not one of those companies, not one of those CEOs has stood trial. The vaccine is administered with an intranasal spray, which is designed to attach itself to the nasal mucosa via a nanostructured lipid carrier and then replicate itself like a virus in the human body. The research was funded by the Department of Defense of the U.S. government. One of the stated aims of the research is to develop proof of concept for an mRNA vaccine delivery system. Let me repeat that. To develop a proof of concept for an mRNA vaccine delivery system, which will overcome vaccine hesitancy and reach whole populations rapidly. In other words, for those of us who did not trust the shoddy science behind the potions that they were injecting into other people, which we have seen issue in blood clots, turbo cancers, women entering puberty early, or suffering miscarriages if they were pregnant, and on and on and on it went. So now what they're telling us is, well, we're going to vaccinate you and give you our injections and potions whether you like it or not. And thus they are, I want people to really latch on to this, they are willing to gamble the health and survival of the entire global population. They are playing with fire. But I'm not done. Listen to these paragraphs. In a parallel development, an international team of researchers from the United States, Canada, and the European Union have used so-called gain-of-function methods to design, engineer, and test synthetic versions of the H5N1 bird flu's virus hemagglutinin protein, one of the key components that allows the virus to infect cells. Their results are reported in a Nature paper entitled, quote, Electroportation and LNP-mediated delivery of plasmid DNA-encoded H5N1 influenza virus hemagglutinin support protection against highly pathogenic avian influenza, unquote. That's the title. In summary, the paper reports that researchers have produced synthetic versions of a dangerous flu component and injected them into mice. They then exposed the animals to very deadly strains of the H5N1 virus to see how well their synthetic constructs functioned. Their research was funded by a U.S. federal vaccine development initiative, said to be designed to prepare for future influenza outbreaks using rapidly adaptable genetic platforms. Scientists, this is from the article, quote, scientists are creating novel genetic viral pathogenic sequences and then saying we need to be protected from them. In other words, they are posing as saviors when they are the ultimate sinners. Folks, I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's how diabolical and greedy and power mad these people are. Now, one more paragraph here says it all, and it's the paragraph that immediately follows the one I just read you. So let me read them both together. Scientists are creating novel genetic viral pathogenic sequences and then saying we need to be protected from them. In other words, they are posing as saviors when they are the ultimate sinners. The senior scientist involved, David B. Weiner, disclosed paid relationships with Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Sanofi, Inovio, Flagship, and other commercial biotechnology and or pharmaceutical companies. End quote. So in other words, we have the same incestuous relationship between the people promoting and doing the gain-of-function research and an outbreak that we call the COVID, and then the whole miserable global experiment with their so-called science and quackcines that followed it. And I'm adamant to this day, I still believe, as I mentioned at that time, that many of the experimental batch numbers that were being given around the world were probably different batch numbers with different ingredients in them so that they could monitor the results, which in many cases, as we know, issued in very painful deaths for many people. So they're at it again, folks. And I have to wonder what it's going to take to wake us up because, you know, this country fought its revolution over a tax on tea. And now our taxes are being used to fund research that could quite literally kill us. Either the pathogens will, or their so-called quackcines will. And I have to wonder if the real intent is to create quackcines that will do precisely that, get rid of the excess people, all the excess useless eaters. So they're still at it, folks, and no end in sight for these madmen. That's it for our news and views from the Nefarium for this week. Remember, our vid chat will be a week from tomorrow. That will be the afternoon old format vid chat this month. Anyway, we'll see you on the flip side, everybody. Bye-bye, and God bless.